My dad and I took a hike on the Appalachian Trail, and he didn't follow the rules. He put us both in mortal danger. There's this old Appalachian saying, "The forest is older than you, older than your God. Show respect or be forgotten." The summer before I started college, I set my sights on hiking a portion of the Appalachian Trail. I had been planning it for years. Daily hikes through the woods in my town, solo camping trips, collecting gear one piece at a time with what I could scrape together. When I told my dad, he insisted on coming with me. For protection, he said. The irony is bitter now. I had protection. I had my bundle of sage and rosemary, coins, a lock of my hair, a sachet of salt, and iron nails I kept buried deep in my bag, passed down from my grandmother, who never once entered the forest without hers. I also had protection against the more mortal predators, bear spray, a knife, a taser, but no talisman in the world could prepare me for what we'd awaken. When I showed Dad my supplies, he laughed. "You mean your little bags of seasoning and trinkets? Those won't save you from a bear or a murderer." "They weren't meant to," I had muttered. Rule number 1, keep salt and iron on you. I'd learned that salt purifies and iron protects. A line of either can mean the difference between going home or being taken. The trailhead was too quiet when we arrived, not peaceful, empty. The air felt wrong, like the forest was waiting for something, watching. The leaves didn't rustle. The birds didn't sing. Dad didn't notice. He stomped along in brand new boots, whistling a tune off key. His cheerful noise died instantly after leaving his lips, swallowed by the woods. I stayed silent, tucked the iron nail under my shirt where it brushed my collarbone, cold against my skin. Rule number 2, don't whistle in the woods, my grandmother said. It calls spirits to you. We hiked for hours. As the afternoon went by, the trees changed. The pines grew tighter, closer, wrong. Their trunks were too thick, bark gnarled and blackened like burned flesh. The air grew hot and humid. Despite the elevation, wet like a held breath. Light barely filtered through the tight, thickening canopy. Even in the middle of the day, it was gray and dim. That's when I felt it. Not saw, felt. Like something massive, ancient and cold, had stirred beneath the earth and opened one eye. I stopped walking. Dad noticed and turned back. "You coming, Ellie?" he shouted, holding a walking stick that he probably found somewhere on the side of the trail. He had just broken 2 rules in one go. Rule number 3, don't speak your name too loud. It lets them know who you are. Rule number 4, you never take things from the forest. Leave every stone, stick and bone as you found it. I remembered. Some things belong to the forest. Some things guard it. Yeah, I lied, noticing that we had somehow wandered off the main trail. Hopefully not too far. I shouldn't have been blindly following my dad, knowing that he didn't know how to read trail markers. Rule number 5, stay out of hollers you don't know. Some places are thin, I'd read. Time folds, trails change. You might walk forever and never leave. We kept going, trying to veer back towards the main trail. Then we saw it, right in the center of the path. A pile of blackened stones encircling a bare patch of dirt, and in its center, a bundle of twigs bound tightly with hair. Human by the look of it, long, reddish blonde strands matted together with something dark. The air stank, copper, rot, and blood baked into the soil. "Leave it," I said, my voice low and sharp. "It's a warning." Dad knelt down and poked at it with his walking stick. Probably just some hiker's weird little voodoo project. "Don't let it freak you out." And then he muttered, "Superstitious nonsense," under his breath. "Dad, stop. Don't touch it." But it was too late. The stick scattered the stones. The wind shifted instantly sharp, cold, unnatural. It cut through the trees, though not a single branch moved. Then came the whistle. Not like Dad's rambling melody. It was piercing, slow, almost human sound that climbed and fell in a way that made my teeth hurt. It came from nowhere, everywhere, behind us, ahead. Dad stood up abruptly. Did you hear that? I grabbed his arm. Don't look back. Don't speak. Walk. Now. He walked, but now all signs of a trail were gone. The trees closed in behind us. We passed the same tree again and again, its bark split in 3 deep vertical slashes, too wide to be from a bear. How the fuck are we going in circles? Dad barked. We've been walking straight the whole time. A second whistle cut through the air. Close this time. Run, I screamed. We ran. Branches tore at us, a fog suddenly descending and obscuring our vision. Something moved through the trees with us, long-limbed, unnaturally fast. I caught glimpses, a shape with too many joints, a body that bent the wrong way, a face that shimmered and changed, wearing my face, then his, then neither. Rule number 6, that's not a deer. My grandmother had sat me down, a grave expression on her face. If it walks like a deer, but the joints are wrong, if it looks at you like it knows you, if it stands on 2 legs, run. Don't scream. Don't look back. Looking back is an invitation to follow. We didn't stop running until night fell and the thing was no longer behind us. Dad collapsed onto a log, panting and pale. I think we're lost, he whispered. You think? I hissed, already digging into my pack for the salt. We should set up camp, I said. No way we're finding a way out in the dark. He didn't move, just sat there, shivering. Ellie, that thing, it looked like a deer but it wasn't. It stood like a man. And its face, my God, its face. He trailed off. You shouldn't have touched the stones. My voice was flat. Help me with the fire. Dinner was tasteless, quiet. I didn't even bother to finish my food. I poured a ring of salt around our camp and placed iron nails at each corner. It was all I could do. I woke to absolute darkness. The fire was out. The forest had gone still. Deadly quiet, like a killer sneaking up on a sleeping victim. Then I heard it. Dad, Dad, help me. My voice, but not off pitch, like a recording played at the wrong speed. The cadence all wrong, like someone trying to speak a language they didn't understand. I froze in fear. My heart was pounding out of my chest. Dad was already out of his tent, stumbling towards the sound. Ellie, where are you? He shouted. I burst from my tent and grabbed his arm. That's not me, I'm right here. He jumped and screamed in alarm and then turned to me, shaking. Then who the fuck is that? Listen. He stood in silence. Then, Dad, I'm scared. Please, help me. The underbrush rustled just past the tree line. I turned slowly. Something stood just beyond the edge of the camp. Glowing eyes, not animal eyes. Intelligent, patient, watching. Rule number 7. If you see glowing eyes, run. More rustling, more eyes. Back to camp, now, I whispered. I dumped the rest of the salt around the fire pit in a frantic circle, hands shaking as I struggled to get the flames going again. From the trees, it came again. Dad, Ellie, help me, help. Voices overlapped, changed, twisted into gurgling laughter. More glowing eyes emerged. 5, 6, maybe a dozen. All too high off the ground, blinking out and reappearing in different spots, like whatever they belonged to didn't walk, but crawled. We hurtled by the fire. I threw sage into the flames and it hissed and sparked. Some of the eyes blinked, some just stared. Then one of the voices whispered from right outside the edge of the firelight, "You shouldn't have touched it." The voices kept circling the camp. Some cried, some laughed, some whispered things I couldn't understand, not in English. not in any language people were meant to know. The sounds grated at my eardrums and I covered my ears. Dad sat stiff and pale beside me, eyes wide, clenching the iron nail I'd forced into his palm earlier. He looked like he wanted to scream but couldn't open his mouth, like something might crawl in if he did. I knew we couldn't sleep. We couldn't even blink for too long. We waited, the fire our only defense. My hand hovered near the salt pouch, though it was nearly empty now. Something flickered at the edge of the flames, not in the shadows, inside the fire itself. A face, not a reflection, a face, watching, smiling, hungry. This isn't just a haunting, I whispered. It's a feeding ground. The forest had sealed us in. It wanted stories, memories, faces, flesh, and we had trespassed. We had touched what was sacred, broken the old laws. Sometime past midnight, the fire burned low, and that's when the laughing stopped, replaced by another sound. Footsteps, right at the edge of the salt. Heavy, human. Then, "Ellie, you always did love the woods." I froze. That voice, it was my mom's. She died when I was 8. She'd been buried in the churchyard 3 towns over, her lungs filled with pneumonia and prayers. I hadn't heard her voice in nearly a decade, but I knew it instantly. I turned. I had to. Something stood just outside the salt line. It looked like her. The right height. Same dress from the funeral photo on our mantle. But the face, off, melted. Smiling too wide. Eyes too big and glassy. It didn't blink, didn't breathe. Rule number 9. Leave offerings if you must pass sacred ground. A coin, a sweet, a bit of bread. The old ones watch. Be polite, be grateful. Do not speak their names. The wind roared suddenly through the trees. Though the leaves didn't move, a deep groan echoed beneath the earth, like old roots pulling themselves free. The figures at the edge of the salt, gone. The eyes in the trees vanished. Even the fire quieted. The woods fell deathly silent. Not safe, not empty, but still, like something ancient had just turned its head away, deciding, for now, to let us go. The sun was beginning to rise. "Now," I said, grabbing Dad by the wrist. "We go now. Don't speak, don't look back. We didn't pack anything. We didn't need to. Anything we left behind belonged to the forest now." I followed the path that hadn't been there before. A trail of crushed ferns and moss, lit faintly by a silvery glow filtering through the canopy. A deer path, but not a real one. A gift, a chance. We walked. When the sun rose fully, we found ourselves stumbling out of the tree line, back at the gravel parking lot near the trailhead. Our car was still there, covered in leaves. We didn't speak until we were 3 towns away. Dad drove like he'd just been let out of prison. Hands white-knuckled, eyes wide. Eventually he looked at me and said, "You said you had protection." "I did," I said. "And it worked?" he asked nervously. I didn't answer, because I wasn't sure it had. Because sometimes the forest lets you leave, and sometimes it just follows you home.